Today we wanted to talk about polarization because that can come up a lot in relationships, and we actually experienced it fairly recently, so it's not something that you learn once and never have to figure out again. It's sort of an ongoing learning curve. And one of the things that stands out to me when it comes to when couples polarize or when we polarize is that when that happens, there tends to be a misunderstanding about what's going on. And the focus ends up being on what the issue looks like or what the problem looks like, rather than recognizing that the polarization is a result of people's state of mind going south. Do you agree?
I do agree. And I think if we're going to use what happened with us at the weekend as a reference point, I can see that I was in a very low mood. I can see that now in retrospect, but at the time it was a complete blind spot to me. Nevertheless, it's obvious to me now that my state of mind had gone south, but to a point where I was unable to recognize that it had gone south, and I was just getting more and more caught up and more in need of someone to blame and make responsible.
Hence not realizing it's your state of mind and thinking it's about the issue.
In a sense, the fact that I'm making you responsible probably would be a good indicator that my state of mind has gone south. And that's the rub. That's the thing that's difficult to get a hold of. And it's easy for me to see that now, but at the time I couldn't. And I can actually now track the moment where things went horribly wrong.
Oh, there was one moment?
Yeah, there was one moment. And actually it's interesting because I think I shared this with a client earlier. As an example of how you can hit these blind spots. So I think that I've already shared in one of these vlogs how I started to see how I want to slow things down.
Yes.
Here am I sharing with my clients the virtues of slowing things down on an intellectual, analytical level that will allow you to access that quiet, that point of inspiration and creativity. So I decided that for myself, well, maybe I'll start painting again. I thought, well, I'll start painting again, and that will help me get into a better state of mind on a consistent basis, or help that process at least. And so I did a painting one day, and I thought as I started I did the sort of preliminaries of a painting, if you like. I got the canvas out, started to draw with a piece of charcoal. And I was very conscious of having an intention of getting to a flow state. And I got into a flow state really quickly. And subsequently, when I finished my allocated time, I felt, wow, that's great, that's incredible. And then I thought, oh, I'll do this tomorrow, I'll do this every day. And so in the interim, over the next 24 hours, that canvas was staring at me. And I thought to myself, I can make it better than that. I can definitely make that better. And so the next time, the following day when I went to draw, I went in with the mindset, I'm going to make this better. I'm going to make this better than it was before. I wiped it all off and started again. And my mind and my thoughts were all about, I'm going to make this better. I was completely in this analytical place and completely forgot about the flow state. And after 30 minutes, and I stood back and looked at what I'd done, it was a piece of crap. And that got me into a low mood, and I wasn't even conscious of it. And I think that something that happened with you pretty soon after things kicked off, and that low mood, my ego wanted to make you the fall guy. And the reason why I share this story is I feel like me looking for that flow state, in a sense, if I have that as my North Star and know that's my North Star, I'm conscious of that's my North Star, then for all those moments that I get caught up, I can just say, yeah, this is just stormy weather. There is a North Star of well-being. I just have to go looking for it. Or just by virtue of the fact that I know that it's there, that can be an intention that I can hold in each and every day. But that was the moment I kind of like, things went south for me. I got really stirred up and really, when I finished that exercise of drawing that, the preliminaries of the painting, and it looked so bad, put me into a really low mood. And I wasn't even conscious of it, but I made you the fall guy.
And if I hadn't taken it personally, there wouldn't have been polarization.
No, there would have been no polarization.
So you could have had that.
It's your fault.
I guess so. You're still blaming me. So you could have been in that low mood, but I was feeling sensitive and I took it personally. And so that was where the polarization happened. You were blaming me. I was ending up blaming you. And I realized something that I've seen around this, taking it personally. This is definitely a learning curve for me around being okay with other people being upset with me, being angry. It's not like you're even that angry with me, but I have this this thing where I get sensitive about how other people feel about me. And so if you're not even verbalizing it, but it feels like you're upset with me, I can start taking it personally. And what I'm seeing more about it is that that is my state of mind, and that's my blind spot, and that's my learning curve. And I've got way better over the years, and this is we're on a much more subtle level than we used to be on, but it's still a learning curve. And you know, what I'm recognizing is that there's this pull that I have where I actually care about what you think of me, or I care about what someone else thinks of me. And my ego gets hooked into that, because I guess I want to look good, or I want to be liked on some level. So if I feel like I'm not liked, my ego, I personally I can get hooked into that and feel destabilized. And then that's the recipe for polarization in our relationship. And so where we have made progress, or where it's really different now than it was in the past, is that instead of digging our heels in the polarization, instead of really getting into the pull of wanting to blame each other, I had a recognition within myself that I'm feeling very sensitive. I need to just let myself settle. That I started to have an awareness of my own state of mind. I started to have an awareness of what I was identifying with inside of myself, and I could bring myself back to that North Star that you're talking about of well-being, and realize that yes, I'm in stormy weather, and it looks like it's Angus's fault, but it really isn't his fault. I'm just getting hooked by something that still feels quite invisible. I'm saying invisible, but obviously it's not, because I have a sense of it, but it's very slippery. Like that the feeling comes up very quickly if you're angry with me. Like it's like, so it's like my intention is to get better at not taking it personally, to not that I don't care about you, but to not care what you think about me and everyone else in general. But for you, for some reason, I really care if you're upset with me or not. I don't like it whenever you're upset with me.
Yeah.
But the coming back together, I think, was helped by finding that space within to realize that we're both just in stormy weather, and we are going to come back to finding that common ground when we're both settled.
Yeah. I think the realization that we're in stormy weather, one person just needs to have that realization that we're in stormy weather, and by virtue of the fact that they stop taking it personally, that provides the opportunity to settle. That's the first, that's the kickoff point that we can create for ourselves to get to a place of settling down. And I think of that experience on Sunday, and for me, I had completely forgotten there was a North Star, because I thought that there wasn't, or wasn't even aware there wasn't a North Star, or there was a North Star. My ship was going down. If it's going down, I might as well take you with me.
Thank you.
And I think I really came out of that experience with the drawing, the painting, just feeling tremendously disappointed and frustrated. So the analytical machinery is already, going at full pelt. And then rather than look or see that as an indicator, I need to, take a chill pill now. I need to quiet down. It just so happens that our paths crossed in a challenging way almost immediately. Mm-hmm. And then, for me, that was a blind spot, and we're off to the races.
Yeah.
But for me, it's just getting better. I think that's all it boils down to. And just knowing that, that our bounce back now is in an incredible place where it wasn't at all. Mm-hmm. And just, to be thankful that that's where we are, and I will continue to grow and learn.
Yeah. So in terms of what could be helpful for you is just to recognize that when polarization happens, it's not about the thing that it looks like it's about. It really is about the state of mind that each person is in. And when you recognize that the polarization is a result of that, then it's easier to take care of yourself. And it's easier to realize, as Angus is saying, that it's just stormy weather. It's going to pass. You're going to come back into balance. And once you come back into balance, it's going to be so much easier to reconnect and to find that common ground again. It's actually quite simple, but in the middle of it, it can look really hard.
Yeah, it's all roads lead to Rome, state of mind.
Yeah, and to well-being.
Yeah.
All right,
Cheers to
have a
that.
good weekend.
Take care.